Aki. Guys, known Aki for 25 years.
In 1992, I co-founded the first Asian American media watchdog group, Media Action Network for Asian Americans, or MANAA. Around late 2000, Aki left me a message on the hotline. He heard that we were making a lot of great changes in the industry, we were shaking up Hollywood, and he wanted to see if he could contribute in some way. So we met at Adults in Burbank, and he told me about his background. It was fascinating. And over the years, and through my own research, this is what I learned. Aki was proud of producing what he thought was the first rock and roll doo-wop song in 1958 called Shambhala. In 1969, he formed an independent record label and a music publishing company called Pan World, and the letters were written like Chinese-style lettering on the label. And the following year, he formed Trans-American Records. Aki released a single that he co-wrote with Richard Potter, who went on to become one of the biggest record producers of the 70s, supervising hits for 3 Dog Night, Rat Pack Ride, and Blues Image. In 1960, Aki produced the first solo single for Charles Wright. In the late 60s and early 70s, with Charles Wright and the Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band, he enjoyed big hits like Express Yourself, Do Your Thing, and Love Life. The first credit that Wright ever received as an arranger was for his section for Aki. And he went on to arrange Dancing Machine for the Jackson 5 and Don't Leave Me This Way for Thelma Houston. Aki appeared in the 1959 film Never So Few starring Frank Sinatra, and old Blue Eyes liked him so much that he signed him to his record label, Reprise Records. In 1961, they released Trade Against Trade, which made the top 10 on some LA radio stations. In 1963, Aki released a single on the legendary R&B label DJ Records. It was called Giving Up on Love. It didn't go anywhere, but the following year, his label mate, Jerry Butler, used the same arrangement, the same music riffs, and turned it into a top 20 R&B hit. And if you go to YouTube and you compare the two versions, Aki clearly did the better vocal performance. So this really rankled. In the late 60s, Aki drove around a little-known songwriter named Barry White, who very fitted to his little Volkswagen. And he introduced him to Russ Regan, who signed him to a production company, which gave Barry White his first hit with Love Unlimited's Walking in the Rain with the One I Love, one of my favorite records of all time. And of course, Barry went on to have a dozen hits of his own. It seemed as if the music careers of everyone that Aki worked with were taking off, except his own. So he turned to music promotion. He pushed R&B records for Capitol Records, Hollywood Records. He worked in sales at Liberty and United Press. In 1971, an executive at Buddha Records called him up because they didn't know how to promote R&B records to pop radio. They wanted Aki's help in promoting a 32-year-old man whose day job was building toilets in airplanes. Aki helped that man, Bill Withers, become a household name with Ain't No Sunshine. And because of that, we had classic hits like Lean on Me, Lovely Day, and Just the Two of Us. Aki managed R&B singer Norman Connors, helping him have his first top 40 hit with You Are My Starship, and also helped him get a gold album of the same name. Aki produced records up until around 1979, and then came back to acting in the 1980s. He got on the national board of the Screen Actors Guild. He was appointed national chair of SAG's EEOC, and he was a member of the President's Diversity Affirmative Action Task Force. Back in 2000, we were talking at Adults. Aki told me, look, I'm an old man. I'm going to be dissed. I've taken a lot of stereotype roles, but I had to eat. But he wanted to devote the rest of his life to improving the portrayals of Asian Americans. And he said, is there anything in my experience that you can use to promote your cause? And I said, well, check this out, come to our meetings and see what you think. And he said, I don't like groups. Groups don't work with me. I never joined in my life. But he joined MANAA, he got on the board, and he became president. And boy, did he make up for lost time. When Jay Leno, the host of The Tonight Show, started making jokes about Koreans eating dogs, which later led to jokes about Chinese restaurants serving cats, Aki was on a conference call with NBC executives asking them to edit the joke out of future broadcasts and asking for an apology. It wasn't until 2021, after he threatened to go after the advertisers of Jay Leno's upcoming game show, unless they fired him, that Leno finally came to the table and said, "I'm sorry, I'll do what you want, I will apologize about it." It only took 18 years. As part of the Asian Pacific American Media Coalition, we met annually with the top 4 television networks, with the vice presidents and presidents, and Aki representing MANAA at ABC, NBC, and Fox, pushing for better roles for our actors. Aki called Mitzi Wilson, the head of Fox's diversity department, to stop the Fox movie channel from showing 30 Charlie Chan movies, most of them played by white guys with prosthetic, offensive makeup to make their eyes look Asian. 8 days later, Fox announced it was canceling their film festival. Aki once again met with Wilson, who told her that Fox would not put a disclaimer on their upcoming offensive summer show called Banzai, which featured these middle-aged Japanese guys, geeky guys, surrounded by martial arts noises and gongs. So Aki held near protests outside Hollywood and Highland, where Fox was promoting their upcoming fall season to advertisers. The network was not pleased. 9 companies pulled their ass on Banzai, the ratings plummeted, and Fox canceled. In 2001, Aki and I were traveling up to Big Bear for a retreat. And he told me about, in the late 50s, he tried to buy a house in Los Angeles. And the realtor said he couldn't show him the property because an Asian family moving into the neighborhood would bring down property values. I heard that someone in a Screen Actors Guild meeting said something so offensive that Aki went right over to him and started strangling him. I thought, Aki, I know this is easy for me to say, but you can't let the anger overwhelm you. You have to stay clear-headed, or they can't hear what you're saying. They're going to write you off as a crazy guy, and the bad guys are going to. So the next morning, we went to retreat, we went around talking about how involved in MANAA. And Aki said, "That's right. You can't let the anger get to you. But it gets so hard sometimes." And he started crying. I'm so glad we created. I'm so glad we created a safe space where he knew we understood and we had his back. Unfortunately, there's a reason why Aki never joined groups. They didn't like following rules. He would often go rogue, and at the end of his 1 year as president, we were going to ask him to resign. But we never got that far because he got really mad at me in the meeting. So I quit, and he just stormed out of the room. So we didn't see him for a few years, but he came back by December 2007. He was accepted into the directing branch of the prestigious Actors Studio, and he invited me down to meet Martin Landau, who was one of my favorite actors of all time. We got to talk about Mission Impossible, my favorite TV show of all time. And it really tickled me that Landau agreed that we need to give better opportunities to Asian American actors. This was the next moment. Aki became MANAA's president again. His second tenure lasted longer than his first tenure. He lasted 4 years, between 2012 and 2016, so he never got it. But a few years ago, Aki took control of his own career. He wanted to show how the Chinese railroad workers had suffered in the 1800s. So he wrote, directed, and co-starred in China's Chance, which he later retitled several times. He showed me a rough cut on DVD, and I was astonished about the difference. And although he was Chinese, Black, and Portuguese, he always felt kind of estranged from the Chinese American community. He didn't quite feel fully accepted by them. I told Aki, I am so proud of you. When the Chinese American community sees this, they're going to thank you, Aki. They're going to thank you. Because they're going to see where your loyalties and heart has always been. And he said, it's been so hard. And he started crying. We hugged each other. And I said, they're going to thank you, Aki. They're going to thank you. And he did in Koreatown in 2008. But he kept changing his mind. He was never satisfied. He kept re-editing it. I saw 7 final cuts. I don't know how many of you guys have 6 or 5. I saw 7 cuts. And it never officially came out. And I thought that if it had come out, it could have been his calling card to show what he was capable of doing. And he could have made it easier for himself to get funding for studios, for his other ideas. After someone failed to write an acceptable story on his life, he begged me to do his biography. He said, "Guy, you're the only one who can do it. You're the only one who knows the music business and the acting business. Please do my biography." I'm like, I'm struggling to do my own music book. I'm like, oh. Okay, we'll do this. Okay. You give me an outline of highlights of your career. I will research it. I'll hold my questions. We'll shoot you in the video camera. I'll transcribe it, turn it into a book. And then we'll use the video footage and we'll make a documentary later on. Well, despite me even shit of reminding him for years what he was supposed to do, he never did that. And he never got back his video camera from the record. So many unfinished projects, so many leftover dreams. What could have been? A couple of years ago, I was talking to him on the phone, and his other phone rang, and I overheard him talking to the caller, and he said, "Can I call you back? I'm talking to my best friend." But I couldn't believe it. I said, "He's talking to me? I'm his best friend?" I don't know what to tell you. Aki, you have a fantastic, remarkable life. And I hope that we would put together a fitting biography and release your film so that your legacy can continue to inspire and educate people. Thank you for giving your heart and soul to us. We said this to each other hundreds of times before we hung up on the phone. I only have to say it to you one last time. I love you. Your work is done. Rest in peace.
Good.